35 and still single, my brother said loud enough for every fork at the table to stop moving. The room went quiet. After that, my mother stared into her wine glass like she had not hired him. My aunt pressed her lips together to hide a smile. Ethan leaned back in his chair, proud of himself, waiting for laughter. I kept cutting my chicken. At 35, I was a forensic accountant. I owned Walker Risk and Recovery, a company that handled fraud investigation across three states. Corporate client trusted me with $1 million case. I had testified in courtroom, uncovered hidden accounts, and helped companies survive scandals that could have destroyed them. But at home, none of that mattered. To my family, I was still poor Brianna, the woman who worked too much because no man had chosen her. What they did not know was that 6 months earlier, I had married Mason Hill quietly. No ballroom, no flowers, hanging from ceiling is just a courthouse downtown. Me in a cream suit, Mason in a navy tie and pancakes. Afterward, ate a tiny dinner that served waffles with birthday candles. If you ask Nestle, it was simple, it was peaceful, it was ours. My family hated Mason almost immediately, not because he was hurt or unsuccessful. He was calm, thoughtful, and impossible to impress with loud people. That alone made Ethan dislike him. When my mother invited me to dinner that week, she said, just family, which really meant Ethan will perform and everyone else will clap. Before I left, Mason looked up from a folder open on his tablet and said softly, "You don't owe them a version of yourself that hurts you." I smiled like I believed him, but the second I walked into my parents' house, I felt 16 again. Ethan arrived 20 minutes late, carrying cold air and the smell of expensive cologne into the dining room like both belonged to him. "That's my favorite family," he announced loudly, losing his script while my mother smiled with visible relief. The show could finally begin. It kissed her cheek, shook my father's hands, then looked at me. "And there, Brianna," he said, "still married to separate sheet." A few people laughed. I took a sip of water and said nothing. That only encouraged him. Through dinner, Ethan talked about his neighbor's business venture like he was pitching investor instead of eating roast chicken. Hellbridge Hospitality barbecue hotels, luxury, expensive, exclusive partnership. The second he said the company name, my stomach tightened. I knew it, not because I stay updated on Ethan life. I avoided that whenever possible. I knew it because Walker Risk and Recovery had reviewed the proposal 3 weeks earlier. Ethan kept talking, smiling bigger with every sentence. "Big opportunities now," he said proudly. "Real growth, real money." Then his eyes slid toward me. "You should try dating interference. Barry, maybe you will find someone before retirement." My father chuckled into his drink. My mother gave that same tight smile she always used instead of speaking up. The silence around the table hurt more than Ethan's words ever did. He leaned back in his chair. "I mean, seriously, at some point, a woman has to ask herself why nobody stayed." That one landed. I felt it in my chest, but I stayed calm because people like Ethan only know how to win when they think you are smaller than them. A few minutes later, he lifted his wine glass. "To Brianna," he announced, "might this finally be the year she finds someone willing to put up with her." I slowly set my glass onto the table. One soft click. Then I looked at him. "Don't worry about me," I said quietly. I have been married for a long time. The room froze. My aunt dropped her crystal glass. It shattered against the floor. What? My mother whispered. I kept my eyes on Ethan. My husband's name is Mason Hale. The color drained from his face to face. It almost looked painful because now he understood. Hellbridge Hospitality, Hell Mason. The partnership he had been bragging about all night was not just connected to my husband, it depended on him. Ethan opened his mouth, but I spoke first. My firm reviewed your proposal, I said. The number did not much. Delay refunds, inflated projection, missing disclosure. I pulled my phone from my pocket and read the line directly from the email. Partnership review, remain, pause, pending corrected financial disclosure. Nobody move, nobody breathe. Then I look around the table slowly. 10 minutes ago, humiliation was just a joke. I said, nobody laughed. Right then, the front door opened. Cold wind rushed softly through the hallway. Mason stepped inside, snow resting across the shoulder of his dark coat. Calm, steady, control. He looked directly at Ethan, then at me, and in the quietest voice in the room, he said, don't speak to my wife like that. Nobody spoke for several seconds after Mason sat beside me. Then my mother finally whispered, Brianna, maybe you can help Ethan clean this up. He's your brother. I looked at her carefully. And I was your daughter when you love, I said. That hit harder than shooting ever could. My father immediately tried to smooth things over. Nobody mean anything by it. Ethan jokes around. You know how he is. Yes, I did know. That was the problem. For years, Ethan humiliated people and everyone called it confidence. For years, my parents protected him and called it love. Then my mother quietly said the truth that probably never meant to say out loud. We just wanted you settled, married, kids, a real family. Control disguised as concern, approval disguised as love. I stood slowly and picked up my coat. I am not carrying this into another years. I told my father, and for the first time in my life, I walked out of that house without feeling like I had failed anyone. Outside, the cold air burned my lungs. Fireworks cracked somewhere in the distance, while warm yellow light spilled from the dining room window behind us. Inside, I could see my family talking over each other, finally forced to sit with the mess they created. But their regret was not my reward. My reward was the life waiting for me beyond that driveway. A week later, Ethan's proposal was formally rejected. Vendors started demanding payment. His wife moved out temporarily. I sent one final email to my family. Respect is not conditional. Accountability is not optional. My mother replied 2 minutes later, I'm sorry. At midnight on New Year's Eve, Mason kissed me in our kitchen while champagne fizzed over the counter and real laughter filled the room. And for the first time, happiness did not feel like something I needed permission to keep. If you have ever had to choose between the person your family accepted and the person you truly are, how long did it take you to stop apologizing for your own happiness?